The Lion King is one of the most beloved animated movies of all time, and it was at a time when live action movies based on Disney classics started becoming more of a thing. So it was inevitable that The Lion King would eventually get a live action adaptation, or also known as a computer animated movie adaptation, in summer 2019. So I went to see it and. Ugh. Seriously? This is what we get? A live action movie update that lacks a soul of heart or in fact any charm at all? That's it? The movie was also so boring that I not only wanted it to end, but I ended up falling asleep during its sluggish story. This is one of the most overrated movies of 2019, and it was all just a huge nostalgia cash grab for Disney, even when that year was occupied by the company at the box office. So in today's movie review, I will be reviewing the infamous live-action Lion King, and why I do not recommend it on any level whatsoever. Before we start this video, don't forget to leave a like on this video if you enjoy it. And don't forget to subscribe, as well as hitting the bell icon to see more content. Thank you, and enjoy. First off, as a remake, it does virtually nothing new to stand up like the original. It's like they took the original, extended its runtime with lots of filler, and cloaked all of it into photorealism photography. It's a shot-to-shot remake that is a nostalgia-baiting movie. The only reason this even got made is just so it can cash in and make 1.6 billion at the worldwide box office to become the highest grossing animated movie of all time. I'm so glad this is no longer the case. Thank you for saving us, Inside Out 2. Hollywood just never learns, don't they? At least with other remakes, they have this issue, but do something slightly different to make it stand out more, while still being faithful to their source material. This movie, however, never does this, which is just lazy. For my second negative, I think we are pretty much getting the big elephant out of the room here. The characters are extremely emotionless and lack facial expressions. The filmmakers are quite basically showing how animals look in real life. It's literally just talking lions. That's it. Even real life animals have better emotions than this. Using this to make Scar not as intimidating as the main antagonist is just really sad. In addition, all the characters look the same design-wise and have almost no difference between each other, which doesn't help separate them from real-life animals. With the lions especially, I had no idea at times what character we were even focusing on, and I only had minor ideas because of the voices. It basically just felt like I was watching an extended episode of a nature documentary on TV, with talking lions. Something else that sucks about this movie is that not even the voice talents bring any life to these already soulless characters. I totally get this movie is 30 years after the original, and that cast may not sound like they do today, but that cast was much more charming over there. Here, it sounded like everyone was sleep talking. At least James L. Jones reprises his role as Mufasa, but why was he recasted when everyone else wasn't? That's what you call nostalgia bait to me. He just doesn't sound as fatherly-like, if you know what I mean. Here's something else that not only triggers me, but also constantly gets into my head. This movie cannot also decide whether it wants to be animated or live action. At the 92nd Academy Awards, upon the movie being nominated for Best Visual Effects, Disney submitted the film as a live-action movie. However, at the Golden Globe Awards on the same year, it was also nominated for Best Animated Feature. Like, what? What? I don't understand. It's computer animated, albeit photorealistically, but Disney refuses to call it animated, which makes zero sense. If they didn't want to make it so confusing, they should have actually just done it live action and not photo animated. That way it wouldn't be as confusing. For a remake, this movie also cannot capture its iconic scenery, whereas in some instances, it does this, but very poorly. There are new characters that never appeared. The stampede scene is butchered to a crisp. Rafiki barely has a role. The character development is worse, and the list goes on and on. And now I think it's time to talk about the worst of the bunch. The infamous "Long Live the King" scene. Enough said. This has got to be, without a doubt, one of the most laughable moments in the entire film. Instead of Scar having enjoyment of killing Mufasa and whispering the famous line, "Long live the king," in a very cunning and evil manner before dropping Mufasa down in the gorge, he does this again in the remake, but in the most stupidest way imaginable. He rushes the said quote fast and loud, as in an angry and bland-like behaviour, and then slaps Mufasa's face, making him fall down the gorge. He doesn't brutally push him down, nope. He simply slaps him. And ends pretty much there. And like I said before, there is no emotion here at all. What the heck is up with this soulless remake? This movie also has awful pacing. It doesn't help the fact that it's almost a 2-hour long movie compared to the original movie's hour-and-a-half runtime. Adding with its sluggish runtime, there was even a bunch of unnecessary filler, having scenes that have an attempt of staying faithful to its classic material, and instead adding unneeded elements to make them boring to watch. It's not helped by the fact that it pretends to act like those nature documentaries with animals that you'd see on TV, like I mentioned previously. I simply, in my mind, was just praying for this movie to eventually end. And it never does. It felt like it was going on for ages. Something else this movie cannot achieve is its questionable tonal shifting. It's very inconsistent because the music is playing in scenes that feel out of place. During the scene with Zazu informing Mufasa about the hyena presence, calm music is heard playing for a scene that's intense. Oh, and by the way, on the topic of music, the song "Can You Feel the Love Tonight," while still great, has its scene taking place during the day, despite the word night being used in this movie. Again, there's further proof that this movie doesn't know what it wants to be, and I hate it so much. Finally, this movie all in all lacks the charm, depth, and originality that made the original great. The characters have less personality and charisma with each other. Scar is completely flanderized, and there's no strong emotion that again made the original timeless. Throughout the whole movie, I was all like, yada yada, this happens, move on, instead of having that same sympathy I used to have with the characters. They're not even trying here. It's so bad that it's actually laughable. Please don't watch this. The reason why this movie isn't rated lower is that it has a few redeeming qualities that hold it back from being truly pathetic. First off, the visual effects are outstanding, so much in fact that this movie just had to be nominated for Best Visual Effects at the 92nd Academy Awards. The achievements made here are actually so great and would become a marking point for future movies that would use visuals like this. It's too bad it's held back from cloaking its generic designed animals. Another reason why this movie isn't straight trash is that the songs are still great, and the I Just Can't Wait to Be King song uses elements from the Broadway musical, and Hans Zimmer also returns to compose the additional score, and it's still great as usual. Be Prepared is the only song that did not have the best execution, but the other songs were fine for what they were. And the final good thing about this movie is that mostly all the characters, well, except Scar, are still likable. Baby Simba is still cute, and they weren't all flanderized. Timon and Pumbaa are still enjoyable, and there are some good moments with these animals. But that can also be said for the original movie as well. Soulless voice acting alongside generic animal designs can't save a character from being as beloved as the 1994 movie. Overall, my final opinion on the live action Lion King: easily one of the most overrated movies I have ever seen, and one of the worst movies to be released in 2019. The live action, or computer animated adaptation of The Lion King is a remake that nobody needed or asked for. And that's coming from someone who adores the original to death. This movie was insanely popular for its time, and also nostalgia baiting its audience to oblivion. I get that it's hard to make a movie just as good as the original, and the whole effort it took to fully create this movie, but I literally felt nothing after watching this. It has decent visuals, and the songs are still good, but that's about it. You can definitely feel just how lazy the writers were in an attempt to make this movie, as there's no charm to be made anywhere through the film, and the characters are extremely soulless, missing their original personalities from the original movie, even though they are based on beloved characters. This really is just not it. It's not the first Disney movie to be live action, but it is by far the most uninspiring attempt at making one. And that's all that could be said. So overall, just watch the original instead. What is your opinion on the live action Lion King? How else did it become an abomination? How would you have improved it? And why else was this movie unnecessary? Let me know in the comment section below, and also don't forget to leave a like on this video if you enjoyed it, and subscribe to my channel if you are new, and hit that bell icon to see more content on my channel. Thanks for watching. An emotionless, soulless remake that lacks any sort of charm or originality. The Lion King 2019 may bear the extinction of being the darkest movie ever made about talking, colourless lions.